Jackie from the Delafield Quilt Company, and today I'm going to show you how I made this little jelly roll project. This was a really easy one to cut thanks to using jelly roll strips, and pretty easy to sew. If you can sew a binding strip together, you can sew this quilt. So I hope you enjoy the tutorial.
So the jelly roll strips that I'm using for this quilt, I actually cut these myself from the Sweet and Spookier collection of Art Gallery fabrics. If you're looking for a really cute Halloween print, these are just adorable. So I strongly encourage you to check these out. I'll put a link to the information on the collection in the show notes. So the quantity of strips that we need to make the quilt is 30 strips from a print jelly roll and then 30 strips from a solid. And this is a real quick one to cut as well. I'm going to just do a stack and whack, or I'm going to take my jelly roll strips. I'm going to cut each of them, both the solids and the print, into 4 10-inch sections. Since most jelly roll strips are already folded, you can just cut 2 10-inch sections at a time. I'm also going to stack a few of these just to make it go a little bit faster. Okay, once you've got them stacked up, then you can just go ahead and cut them in sections of 10 inches. And you want to repeat that for all of your strips. I'm just going to cut a few black ones next just so I can show you the next step. Okay, once you have all your strips cut, then we're just going to lay out a few rows. And I'll show you the next step. So the first row, the bottom row, we're going to start with the black strip. Then we're going to do one of the printed ones, another black one, another one of your printed ones. And we're going to do this until we have 4 black strips and 3 printed strips. You do want to mix up your strips a little bit just to make it a little more random. Okay, and once you have your strips organized, I'm going to show you how to sew that first row together. So basically we take our 10-inch sections, we'll start with the first 2 here, and we're going to sew it just like we would a binding strip. So I'm going to overlap the first strip, right sides together, and then I'm going to sew this from the top left to the bottom right corner. If it's helpful, you may want to draw a line there. I've been doing this for a while, so I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, once you have that first one on, you could trim this as you go, or I'm just going to wait until the end. So I'm going to fold this open, then I'm going to take the next strip, put this over, and same thing, just like you're sewing the binding strips together, you're going to go the top left to the bottom right. And you're just going to keep repeating that until you have all the sections of the first row sewn together. Okay, so I've got the first row all sewn together. Right now I'm just going to trim these off, leave about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I'm just going to press the seams to one side. Right, so row 1 is finished. Now we're going to work on row 2. So on this one, a little bit different. We're going to sew our angles differently, and we're going to start with one of the print fabrics versus the solid. So you might want to pre-lay this out just to make sure you've got some good randomness to your quilt. And to sew this one, it's similar to sewing a binding knot, except we're going basically in the opposite direction. So the first strip here, we're going to lay a solid on top of it, right sides together, and instead of going down like we did before, we're going to lay this so the strip is going up. And then here, instead of before we went left to right, we're going to go top right to bottom left. And again, if you need to draw a line to help you get that diagonal right, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and again from the top right to the bottom left. Okay, so I've got that first 2 sections sewn together, and as you can see when you fold it open, it's the opposite direction of that first row. And then you're just going to, like before, you're going to repeat that process. I'm going to use the print next and then another solid. All right, so now I've got the second row done, and I use 4 of the patterns and 3 of the solids. And just like with the first row, I'm going to trim off the excess and then just press the seams to one side. So that's essentially it for the construction of the rows. You're just going to keep alternating between starting with the solid, sewing from left to right, and then for the other one, starting with the print, sewing from right to left. And then when you're ready to start sewing your rows together, you're just going to want to line up the points here And then I'm gonna just make sure the seams are aligned. I am gonna put a few pins in here just to keep it together. And then when you're ready to sew it, just go ahead and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, once you have your strips sewn together, go ahead, open it up, and then I'm just gonna press this open. And that is how you basically put this quilt together. I'm going to probably use about 27 rows total in my quilt. You could add to this or do less depending on what size you'd like. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial today. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and visit us at delafieldquiltco.com. Have a great day.